So imagine I came out to my parents about my drag on national television in front of a million viewers and probably Filipinos all over the world. And that's on period. Welcome to Evangelism. My name is Eva Queen, and if you want to feel better while hearing the healing words of a tired ass showgirl, keep on listening. I always think that a mother's love is the purest and most unconditional form of love there is. It was my mom's birthday last week, and I just wanted to share my interesting relationship with her, and I know that a lot of my listeners out there will be able to relate to it. You see, my mom and I have a complicated relationship, and I think that a lot of people also do with their moms. And not everyone is blessed with an openly affectionate and, a cool mom. In our household, my mom is revered and even feared more than my dad. She grew up in a province at a time and place where the measure of a woman was based on her ability to make a home. She was raised by my very strict and rigid grandparents that probably made her very conservative and even obstinate in her ways. And raising a child like me, gay, obnoxious, and flamboyant, is probably something that's been a challenge for her. Now, I may have felt some resistance at first, but I never really had to come out to her about my sexuality. It's like just one day they were like, okay, it is what it is. We never talked about it. She was cool when she met my partner, and she supported me when I went to makeup school. However, she didn't know that I do drag. Because simply, I think that having a gay son is hard enough, but having a son who does drag will probably just blow her mind. I know her, it's too much for her. And I was right. So let me tell you about how she found out. Now, to those who may not know me, my name is Eva Queen of Drag Playhouse PH. So we create platforms for drag artists to continue their passion to do drag during this pandemic and help out and do some charity drives. Now, a major TV network noticed what we do, and we were featured together with other drag artists for a very special episode dedicated to drag. So I didn't know that the producers of the show reached out to my parents to ask for a message. Like what you typically see on TV or what you see in RuPaul's Drag Race Untucked episode, right? So while we were taping the episode, the team showed me the video to, of course, film my reaction. And God, I tell you, I cried. I ugly cried. Because in that video, there was my mom and my dad, and they were saying that they are very proud of what I do and that they support me 100%. And those were really big words coming from them because in our house, we're not really very cheesy. We're not very open with our feelings. Like, we cringe for showing affection. And to hear them say those words was almost a miracle to me. But I celebrated it, and I was really so happy. That was the best day of my life. And I was just so happy I could die. Now, the producers told me that they reached out through my sister to take the video. So, of course, I asked my sister, and it's like, girl, how did you get Mama and Papa to say those words? I mean, did you tell them that I do drag? And then my sister said, no, I can't bring myself to say that. And I just told them to give you a message because you have some charity works that the show needs to feature. So imagine that. She didn't tell my parents that the episode was about my drag, and my parents uttered those words thinking that they were talking about my charity efforts and not my art. I was really taken aback. And now the day that the episode is about to be aired came, and it took all the effort, all the courage I have in my body to ask my mom and my dad to sit with me in the living room so that we can watch it together. I was telling myself that, girl, it's now or never. And if I miss this chance, this very moment, I will never ever get it again. So imagine I came out to my parents about my drag on national television in front of a million viewers and probably Filipinos all over the world. That episode was seen by my relatives from very far away, and it's probably seen by my mom's colleagues, our church mates, and probably most people that knew them. And that was a 2 hour special. That was a 2 hour special of fame and unwanted attention to my family. And I know I should be feeling happy, but to be honest, at that moment, I was feeling really bad. I thought I'd be happy, but instead, I felt guilty because my mom and dad were made to say those words of acceptance in public and actually intended for something else. You know, they told the world that they accept me, but they were not given the right context. And that's just unfair. That's unfair to them. That's unfair to me. It's like they were framed into it. So we didn't speak for weeks. We wouldn't even see each other eye to eye. And I dreaded dinner time. Because in this house, we all eat at the same time. One time, my mom even blurted out saying, "What were you thinking? Ano na lang isipin ng mga co-teachers namin?" And you know what? I just closed the door behind me before she even finished her sentence. Super awkward. It's tragic, like how I was so happy that I flew over to the moon only to be dragged back to hell with such immense force. I was so deeply hurt. What's worse was that we are in a lockdown and I can't move back to my own place, and I had no choice but to endure it. After a few more weeks, my mom sent me a Facebook message at 11 p.m. So take note, she's just staying in the other room and she normally sleeps around 9 p.m. So it's way past her bedtime. She said, "JC, sorry, pero I accept your charity works, but I cannot accept your drag." Well, I guess I already saw that coming, so instead of feeling bad, I somehow even felt relieved that at least she started the conversation. Because honestly, I didn't know how to start. So I told her, "Ma, I understand it's not easy to accept, and hindi ko naman ipipilit. What's important is that I was honest and gave you and Papa a chance to get to know me better. You don't need to force yourselves. Just don't stop me from doing drag. We're good. I love you. That's it." Now, I knew that she'd been keeping those words like a heavy burden in her chest for weeks. Like she barely got enough sleep just thinking about how to talk to me about it. And I knew that it was just as hard for her as it is for me. I realized that acceptance goes both ways. If I wanted to be accepted, I need to respect the boundaries of other people to process and understand. My mom is not a horrible mom just for rejecting my drag. No. In fact, she is the best in being my mother. She may lack understanding of what I do, but who cares? She never held back in giving me everything that she has to give. All her life. And that is far more important. Now, I know that a lot of our LGBTQIA+ brothers and sisters are still struggling for acceptance in their own families. And my mom proves that such a feat is definitely not a walk in the park. You don't just come out and expect it to be rainbows and butterflies. But the point to which our minds failed to meet has been bridged by our love for each other. I tell you, she still hates my drag. But that didn't need to change anything between us. So I wrote her a letter last week during her birthday, and I got her a bouquet of flowers. And I told her that she is the most important person in my life. I also told her how my biggest fear is for her to think that I am a failure as a person. I finally opened up to her about my struggle with anxiety and depression, and how I have been longing to have that bond as a mother and son that we never had before. She cried a lot that day, and I held her in my arms for a good minute, and at that moment, nothing else in the world mattered. So, to my listener today, if there is something that this pandemic made me realize, it's how precious and fragile life is. The thought that you can never know when you get to say your last goodbye or your last meal together is now more real than ever. We always knew it, we just take it for granted. The worst way to live is to live with regrets because we didn't try to make things better by the people we love. So go ahead, give your mom a hug. Tell her she's amazing and she's loved. Well, you may cringe or feel awkward at first, but let me tell you, it's in these priceless moments that we can really consider ourselves lucky to be alive. If you like the podcast, don't forget to follow and subscribe to Evangelism here on Spotify. This audio is also available on YouTube at Drag Playhouse PH. Please help and support your local drag queens by following us on our socials. That's Evil Queen on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Have a blessed day!